with this here today in this Parliament?
Barbara Stewart.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. I stand on behalf of New Zealand First to support the Psychoactive Substances Bill. This bill has been a long time coming. It's taken a long time for the former Associate Minister to front up to the problems caused by legal highs, but we have this legislation here and we now find that we could be world leaders in this area. I'd also like to acknowledge the Chair, Dr Paul Hutchinson. He has done a wonderful job in this legislation, particularly when one takes into account the views that we had prior to going to Select Committee. Thank you too to the rest of the Select Committee. It was a very constructive process, helped out by the committee officials. Ideally, and before we went to the Select Committee, New Zealand First would have liked to have seen these substances banned. But we know they are a very high risk, but during the Select Committee process, we had our opinions changed because these products contain many of the ingredients that are commonly available for purchase now. And of course, the former Minister, the Honourable Peter Dunn, outlined the reasons quite at length as to why these products could not be banned. But the bottom line is that New Zealand First didn't want our young people going for a trip, never leaving the building, never leaving the street, and coming back with massive challenges as baggage. Week in, week out, we've seen reports of these substances leading our young people into crime and the serious harm that's being created by the consumption of these untested products. And the bottom line is that we still don't know what the long-term effects are of consumption of these products. We know petty offences are created and, of course, serious crimes. The effects that these substances have on one's well-being have been widely documented. It has been shameful that under current legislation, New Zealanders have had very limited means to actually prevent harmful substances being sold, manufactured, or even imported into New Zealand. We've been putting the manufacturers of these substances ahead of the well-being of everyday New Zealanders. These companies have been able to manufacture new legal highs, import them, manufacture them as they please. The government was always behind the eight ball, having to try to continually monitor these drugs, placing every dodgy substance on the misuse of drugs register when it became a problem. Consequently, the government was always left 2 steps behind, running to try and catch up. And that is not a good situation when the government is actually supposed to be running the country. New Zealand First supports this bill because it actually protects the health and safety of New Zealanders, which is most important. We know that legal highs are largely detrimental to our nation's health. Unfortunately, they are lucrative to the manufacturers and the sellers. Most of the time, we don't know what's in these substances or the effects that they're going to have on people. And we're going to have a change on this front, which is very positive. Legal highs have basically been marketed as blind, without the purchaser knowing or even caring what it contains, how it can encourage dangerous behaviour, that it may make them seriously ill, and that it shouldn't be used in association with alcohol, and that it can even endanger young lives. And we've constantly read pages and pages of news in various newspapers right throughout the country of how New Zealanders have put themselves at risk by taking these legal highs. We know that these substances are associated with numerous mental health issues, violence, a whole range of issues. So not a good product as it currently stands. The purchasing and the advertising restrictions are adequate for the time being. Like other speakers, we initially thought that these products should have been restricted to those that were over 20. We have got a very conservative view on that, but we have agreed that perhaps the legislation should be in line with the alcohol legislation. The ban sales at dairies and no advertising at point of sale is also good. We needed to have something in this way. It is not good enough when bags of sweets are given away by dairy owners who didn't really want these products associated with drug dealing. It's a bad situation when we're allowing dairy owners to be the legalised drug dealers in the community, and these products shouldn't be sold alongside newspapers and chocolate and ice blocks and sweets. But this bill will sort out this problem, which we're very happy about. I know I was talking to my taxi driver, and he had actually been sent into a dairy to purchase one of these products along with a can of V for the woman that required it. He was actually looking in the freezer part of the cabinet. He thought that it was perhaps some sort of ice block or perhaps another product like V. He was shocked to find out that it was synthetic cannabis that he was actually carrying in his taxi to take back to the passenger. So New Zealand First supports the provisions in the bill that wish to make manufacturers prove that their products are safe. The testing should be the responsibility of the manufacturer. They make mega money from this particular product, so it is time that they ensured that their products are legitimate and that the substances that they contain provide only a low risk for consumers. The onus has to be on the manufacturers here. New Zealand First, along with others, wanted plain packaging for these particular products. But throughout the Select Committee process, we, like other parties, changed our mind on this particular product, on this particular aspect. We are very happy with the labelling requirements. It's going to require all products to have their active ingredients listed, the phone number for the National Poisons Centre, the contact details for the product's New Zealand manufacturer or supplier, plus a warning that it should not be consumed with alcohol. The bill is a much needed start at regulating the uses of psychoactive substances, and something that we are very pleased to see. One of the issues that we believe should be at the forefront of all New Zealanders is the health and safety of our young people. And particularly when we read in the paper about the growing number of violence that's created by these substances, they need to be really regulated. We've got paramedics speaking out about how these legal highs are now a much larger problem than the illicit drugs that are available. New Zealand First supports the tough new penalties that this bill will actually introduce. 8 years in prison for importing, making or supplying banned substances, and 2 years in prison for importing, making or supplying untested substances. We believe this bill is a very positive step forward. These drugs will be tried and tested. We will not have these drugs in dairies, and we know that advertising is not going to be as widespread as it is at this point. And it's for all of these reasons that New Zealand First supports this bill, and we look forward to a speedy passage through the House. Thank you.
Dr. Paul Hutchison.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity of speaking on this very innovative